So here I am with Scott Case. And Scott, you have a very interesting title in your job that really caught my eye. So you're a founder and chief storyteller. Tell us a little bit more, what does that mean for your company?
Well, thank you very much, Claudia. It's great to be here. So I've spent a lifetime in the logistics industry. I grew up around it. My father started a customs brokerage and freight forwarding firm when I was a little kid. I started with him when I came out of university, and probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I started a company that is focused on doing marketing and branding for logistics companies. I think that the people that do this for a living do a remarkable job of solving problems, of moving cargo, of putting the right information in the right boxes. But what they don't do is they don't tell their story well. It's an interesting sort of situation because it's a mix of humility, it's a mix of being uncomfortable, sort of talking about themselves out loud, and so consequently they needed somebody to be their advocate. They needed someone to be able to tell their story when they couldn't tell it themselves.
Exactly.
And I saw it as an opportunity. It was something I decided to try and make a business and a living out of, and it's fortunately been very, very good for the last
So that's why your role is being the storyteller, is not the chief operating officer. You're the person that brings the voice out. So it's like a CMO, but in steroids.
Right. I mean, because every company, I mean, when you have large publicly traded companies or global or regional operators, they have marketing departments who sort of know what the message is going to be. But a lot of times in small to medium-sized companies, it's sort of the vision of the founder. It's the commodity or the vertical in which they operate. It's the trade lane on which they happen to be working. And they really don't know how to sort of say how they do it better or why somebody should work with them over somebody else.
Exactly.
And because of that, that's a situation or a spot where I'm able to be in with them and can ask those questions to bring out those answers and then say, this is how we could talk about it and this is how we can promote it positively and use it as a sales asset.
Awesome. So as someone that is an expert in marketing and in logistics, tell us what is your take on this whole Amazon and Shopify's big spenders in media that they are making like logistics and supply chain sexy now because people know what it is.
Right, and you know what's been really interesting is I don't think that people really thought about how things got to them until delivery vehicles started showing up more frequently, until people were really sort of able to follow the information.
And the branding, right? Seeing the Prime on the trucks,
exactly,
on the planes.
And it's on the planes, it's on the trucks, it's on the delivery vans
on your
now.
mailbox.
Exactly, or I mean, you might even let Amazon into your house now because that's going to be one of the features that they're offering through their doorbell product and through their smart home. But I think what makes it the most interesting is the fact that people weren't aware of how things got to their house, probably because things weren't coming to their house directly. The traditional brick and mortar where people would go to a mall, to a centralized place to go. But now as people have sort of stepped away from the going to the mall and instead are having it brought to their house, they're more cognizant, they're more aware of how it's getting there, who's bringing it there, and seeing that name and that face all over the place. And you're right, I mean, by virtue of Amazon having invested now in physical assets like planes, like trucks, like delivery vehicles.
Drones
soon. Instead of letting their third-party channel partners arrange that for them, they've now attached their branding to that entire experience from start to finish.
Interesting. I know we already touched upon this a little bit, but I would like to have your take on the macro trends that you see in marketing related with logistics. Like, what are things that are happening around the world that is now common and then we're going to see more of?
I think that what people need to understand and when it comes to logistics marketing is that you need to show people what is happening. I think that we forget about the fact that when you do this thing for a living, you're standing out on a ramp next to a freighter watching project cargo get loaded. You're standing next to the pier adjacent to a container ship that's however many football fields high and long. The magnitude of that is something that the logistics providers have an opportunity to convey that experience to their customers, because for a lot of customers, the most of what they get is they see it on their computer, but they never get a chance to leave their office. They may move the neatest, the sexiest, the cleverest stuff, but they're not anywhere near the product that is actually moving. So the chance to visually convey that, the chance to take a product on a journey from start to finish, I think is the same way that people want that transparency of where their goods are in transit. It's the same way if we can apply that transparency to the entire course course of the supply chain, it not only asks a lot of questions, but as we feature the people and our processes, it also engenders trust along the way.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that we as marketers, we need to use our visual power to show what's going on. How did this package get to us, and make it in a way that is transparent and at the same time like visually appealing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you.
What
could,
do you do? Tell us your secret sauce.
That's for clients. But I think the same way that we all sort of, I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but I mean, the same way we all laugh at a cat in a toilet video for 15 seconds is the same way that when somebody sees a plane nosing into a dock, when somebody sees a piece of cargo and gets a chance to sort of watch and follow that from start to finish. I mean, it starts as a box, but it finishes as something that they may see in their store. It may be something in their town or in their neighborhood. So you take a journey. I mean, think of something as simple as like a child's playground set in a park that starts at a steel bar that goes through fabrication, that gets painted, that then gets put together. Whether you time lapse that through, whether you just sort of draw a map for it, but the idea that people all of a sudden don't just think about something that appears. I mean, we all look at a finished product. I mean, we could look at this pillar. We could look at any of these things that are manufactured.
Looking at the process is very appealing, right?
Right, and getting people to sort of understand that bill of materials, that entire thing that goes into it. We see the finished product now deconstructed of everything that got fed into it leading up to that point, and what it looks like when it's done.
And you think the consumers appeal to that? That breakdown?
I think so, because there's process there that people otherwise wouldn't have seen. I mean, sure, they care about it, but it was interesting. Just one of the panelists that was speaking this morning was talking about a trend now that's happening within e-commerce called bracketing. Now, for instance, maybe if you find a pair of shoes or something that you want to buy online, it's a new vendor, it's somebody that you've never bought their style before. You may buy 3, 4, 5 different sizes and go, nope, yes, nope, and then you send the other ones back. Yeah. But it raises the challenge, for instance, for reverse logistics.
Yes.
So it's like somebody's now overbought. They're now returning a majority maybe of the order that they bought while they were trying to figure this out, and we need to, and that's something now that materialized that we didn't have as a problem a number of years ago.
Exactly. Another last question. I promise I'll let you go.
No problem at all.
With everyone here.
No, it's all good.
I would like to have your advice to our marketers that are coming out on this new world, and they don't know what to do because they're experts on their field, but then they need to get good at one industry in order to work in that one, right? Or you think that it should be good in everything and then try their luck? What is your advice?
My advice to people that are looking to get into this industry is that you have to understand that there is a very unique set of challenges that come in with this, and maybe it's just something that's marketing within this industry. And I think that the biggest thing is vocabulary. You've been in this industry, you know that there's just certain terminology, certain words, certain visuals that work, and not unlike any other sort of marketer that needs to understand the industry in which they're operating. This one is even uniquely more so. I mean, we've been very fortunate as a company that the opportunities that we've carved out are because people have gotten frustrated with using just a generic marketing organization, and they go, we expect this company to write this copy or to design this campaign, and they find themselves having to do more of the editing, more of the cleanup, and then they go, well, why did I even do this in the first place? So what they need to come to the realization of is, if you're going to go out and do logistics marketing, that you have to understand logistics first. Now, do I say that you have to go in and sit at a desk and actually move the cargo? No. But I think you at least sort of need to have an awareness of everything moving around you. You need to sort of understand, maybe read trade industry publications, identify 3 or 4 things to see the language, the trends, understand what issues keep arising over and over again, and understand that that's something that is maybe important, and it gives you the opportunity to shift and put your focus there, so you're communicating not just the right issues, but the important issues potentially to a client.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Scott Case from Position Global.
Thank you.